Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about organisation and how at the moment I am not very organised absolutely at all whatsoever, as you might be able to tell. Hence the dressing gown, hence the coats over there, hence all this shit on the desk, which conveniently this chair is blocking, but it's a mess. It is a mess. And also why the wire is here, because I'm trying to charge my phone, but I have to record through my phone, so I have to kind of sit at this angle, which is kind of good because it means, because I'm in my dressing gown, I'm not going to do a fucking Basic Instinct on this. So why am I making this video? Well, in about 2 hours, I begin shooting day 6 of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence. We're going back to Oscars, and we're going to do some shots that during day 2 we didn't end up getting because of various reasons. And at that time, I was a lot more organised because 1, the base plate on my camera worked. 2, my phone actually bothered to fucking charge. 3, I had a backlog. My computer worked. My computer fucking worked. I managed to get a new DVI cable. I've ordered a new DVI cable off Amazon. So I don't think I even have time to do it today. I'm just praying to God that that's the right thing. They look a bit weird. They look like they're at like a slight right angle, which I don't know if they're meant to be. I really fucking hope they are, because I'll tell you what, why is one of them a little bit lower down? Okay, don't get yourself worried about that, because I'll tell you what, the disorganisation and the amount of disorganisation that's going on is, I think, part and parcel of making a film as an individual, as a singular entity, because I don't have a crew. Well, I do have a crew behind me, but I don't have an office or something like that where things need to continue and I could just hire some fucking engineers to come in and sort the stuff out. Everything that goes wrong, I have to fix personally. And doing all these videos, doing 2 videos a day, making a film, trying to do music at the same time, and then obviously having a personal life as well. It is all quite a lot, and I am kind of enjoying figuring out the balance, because I'm really enjoying being busy. I like being busy. I'm a bit of a workaholic, and it's fun. It's really enjoyable getting this done, and it's all about figuring out the balances. So I'd like to say to anyone out there who feels like you need to be organised to do any of this sort of stuff, you need to first get your life in order. No, you fucking don't. Just go out there and start making stuff. If your life's a wreck, if anything, that's a little bit more interesting. I remember I saw someone, they were doing YouTube and they were living out of a car, and they were making videos about their depression and stuff in the car and all this kind of thing. And they were doing pretty well out of it. They were getting 50, 100,000 views a video. I can't remember what the channel was called, but it was cool as well. They did some quite good videos, and they kind of made me relate to them and relate to my own experiences. Not that I've ever had clinical depression or anything, but I've been sad like everybody else has been sad. So you can kind of relate on that level, on the human experience sort of thing. So yeah, it was really good to see that. And they were completely disorganized. Can you imagine if they had waited until their life was in order to start making some videos about depression, which is kind of a thing that your life isn't in order. It feels like it's not in order. It feels like the pieces aren't in the right place sort of thing. It all feels a little bit wrong, because you're so, maybe you should be happy but you're not, and you don't really understand why. So it's like a piece is missing, and it's like, you don't wait until you got all the pieces in place. You don't solve the conflict before you begin the story. So why should you wait until you're, quote, ready to begin making videos, or to begin making music, or to begin creating art? Why should you wait until you've got all the paintbrushes and all the paints and all the various sizes of canvas before you can even start just doodling? Just make stuff. See where it goes, because you can make some really fascinating and fun stuff from being an outsider in that field. Look at some of the most look at outsider art in general. What was the guy that he lived in a prison, and his art was collecting human teeth and making art with them? Yeah, that was quite cool. There's so many things like that. And I'm not saying you have to go and be a serial killer and start stealing people's teeth, but you can just go out there and make something with no knowledge of that style or that genre or that idea. And if anything, that makes it a little bit more interesting, because it's your personal voice and it's genuine, not you trying to chase the cliches or the trends of the genre that you're kind of going into. And you'll end up part of some genre or another, because that's what ends up happening to everybody. But yeah, I feel like organisation is quite overrated. You don't necessarily need it. Obviously, I would like if I was organised right now. That would be nice. that would be a good thing to have happen. It'd be nice if I didn't have to keep like bending over my phone, making sure my phone's actually charged. I'm also kind of worried that if this phone actually unbuzzes, that it's gonna fuck with the recording of the audio. So that's why I'm having to sit at this awkward angle, and I have to keep looking over here, and then I have to keep sort of looking here to make sure that's still recording. And then I sort of think back here, and I'm thinking like maybe I could get on the laptop and try and show you an example of something. So here's something I was just having a look at, right? It's a video from someone called They Should Make Larger Fruits, right? And it is literally just sort of this. So they're just sitting here talking, okay? And they're talking about this idea of where they play music and musical gigs, and they ask people to come in like white t-shirts, and they just make the merch for them on the spot with like spray paint and stuff. And that's just such a cool way of doing it. Can you imagine if they'd gone to all the effort of, setting up official merch and doing the official merch stand, and then you go and buy a t-shirt or whatever? Isn't this such a much more interesting way of doing it? Much more easy and ready, available, unique to this person. Obviously, I'm sure other people have done it, but it feels unique to this person, even though other people do it. I mean, the same way that a Steven Spielberg film feels like a Steven Spielberg film, even though Robert Zemeckis exists, it can feel the same, even if other people are doing something similar. It can feel like you and your true, genuine self, even if there are like-minded people out there. Because the fact that there are like-minded people out there is kind of the beauty of it. The fact that you're not alone in this space. You're not just shouting into a void. You're shouting to, hopefully a room full of other people. And as more people come and they come into your room and they start seeing what you're all about, and they decide, oh yeah, you'd be pretty good. I'd like to stick around, So I'm going to just subscribe to They Should Make Larger Fruits and just say, just used a bit of this in a video, and now I'm basically comment internet etiquette, but not really. So stop this. Not you, me. This video was great. That comment is not going to make any fucking sense to them. It doesn't really make any sense in the context of this video either. So you got so much cool stuff that goes on the YouTube space. There's so many little things that are coming out. And I think, especially in the 2020s, the internet has been going in a bit of a nice place, despite all the misery in the real world. Because the 2020s, as far as the real world is concerned, let's face it, COVID, all the other shit, Ukraine, Palestine, fun, conspiracy theories, fun stuff that I'm not getting into, but the world is going in a bit of a downward sort of trend. But I feel like in these certain little havens in the world, these little oasis, we find some really nice groups of people that are just making stuff for one another, and I find that really sweet. Like, look at this. I haven't really watched this one much, but I've sort of had it on in the background. Look at that, it's just like a conversation between two guys. This guy's done like a couple big movies, but he's also in touch with the indie sort of film scene. I feel like we need to do a video at some point, about the indie film scene, like as an A24 and like the super underground folk scene, because I don't want it to become a thing of like there's faux indie and then there's real indie, because then, where's the distinction and why, it just becomes a bit like silly and a bit pretentious and exclusionary, and I don't want it to be anything like that. I feel like disorganization is kind of a part of the process of making a film, because a film is such a chaotic thing, and that's why on big sets they are so organized and so uniform, because you need so many people to get together to make something that can be considered organized art. Because you need that many people to come together to, sort out all the forms, to sort out the release forms, to sort out the locations, to sort out the actors, to sort out the extras, to sort out the props, to sort out the cinematography and the camera, what camera you're going to use, what microphone you're going to use, what fits the best for this sort of thing, what time of day we're going to do it. And we need to take into account the timeline of the day and the sunset and all that sort of stuff. And when it gets to sunset, what we're going to do for lighting, or like before that, what we're going to do for lighting. Oh yeah, we're going to do a fill here and a backlight there. Actually, no, we're going to do a side light here. And like, or, all these various sort of topics, they all get so intense that you can either try and answer every question, or you can let the answers find themselves. And for this film, Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, I am letting the answers find themselves. And it's a lot of fun seeing what the answers actually are. Sometimes you have a look at something and it doesn't turn out quite how you expect it. It actually turns out a little bit better than you expect, because it's you at the end of the day and your expression, but it's like your voice found itself. It's like, you know, when you're sort of trying to make a point, but you kind of didn't realize what the point you were making was at the beginning, and as the conversation continues, you kind of come to a new conclusion, and like maybe you're talking to someone and they help change your mind and that kind of thing. So you can get an awful lot of so you can get an awful lot of really positive things from the moment itself and where the moment can actually take you. And you can get an awful lot from the lack of organization. Like, I'm sorry this is such a mess, but you know, I feel like that was kind of part of the point that I was trying to make, that the organization isn't the most important thing. It's not the be all and end all. It's not what you need to succeed. The biggest filmmakers and the biggest people that are around now, sure, now they're organized, but when they first started off, do you think they were organized? Do you think Quentin Tarantino was super organized when he was working on that film that he shot on a Super 35mm that he lost half of? What was it, four bedrooms in a something like that? I can't remember what it was. It was a comedy sort of thing. But he lost half the film, and so the film never ended up coming out. Is that the sign of an organised person? Not really. But is it also, like, is Quentin Tarantino not also fucking genius, whether you like him or dislike him? I'm not, like, his biggest fan or anything, but I can at least unequivocally say, like, he's good at what he fucking does, you know? And I think the lack of organisation might be a part of it, because look at all your biggest, most favourite fucking, like, filmmakers or musicians. A lot of their best stuff tends to come when they are small, before they blow up and before they get big. Like Oasis's best albums were just at the beginning when they were. No, I'm not saying they didn't blow up pretty quickly, but you know, their first couple before the fame and stuff really sunk in were some of their best works. And that's the same with basically any band or any like filmmaker or artist in general. Once they find that, once the audience finds them and they've got all the success and the fame and stuff, I'm not saying that it erodes at the artistic quality or anything, but it can certainly neuter or sterilize the process, because now it's a lot more synthetic rather than naturalistic or authentic, I would say, because you know, now that you know how to do everything, it's not really as fun. Now that you've got all the answers and you're just sort of spelling the answers out, it's not particularly fun to see Quentin Tarantino at the top of his like conversationless dialogue game, doing perfect dialogue across these 10-minute, essentially like the prog rock of films. Like it's like a 10-minute drum solo of filmmaking, like some of the scenes in, say, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where they just have the one with Brad Pitt and the kid. It's a really good scene, but it is basically the film equivalent of a drum solo, where it's a technical like ability, and the fact that this is someone who is so good at their craft and has been doing it for so long that they've really honed in that skill and made it work. You know, like maybe organization isn't the be all and end all. Maybe the odd job sort of cobbled together quality can be the draw. Maybe just trying stuff, throwing shit at the wall and seeing what works is the way to go. And you should always throw new shit at the wall. And yeah, that's why I wanted to make this video. So yeah, I hope that was of some sort of use to you. I hope you managed to get something out of this. Thank you all very much for watching this. Love you all. Yeah, have a good rest of the day. You know, maybe get your room a little bit cleaner than this, but you know, just don't worry so much about, you know, organization, because you can spend all your time getting organized, but once you're organized, then what? Take care.